Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Life After Legal. Today, I am sitting here with none other than Alicia Roebuck. Alicia is a talent extraordinaire. She has her MBA, correct? And she is a top-notch recruiter. And the reason why I asked Alicia, who is going to be, by the way, my first non-legally trained guest. So Alicia did not go to law school. The reason why I asked her to come on is because she has experience recruiting people and in human resources. And I had some particular questions for someone in human resources when it comes to changing careers and finding a job, just like I know many of you have. So I'm going to go ahead and let Alicia introduce herself. Alicia, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of pressure to being the non-lawyer guest.
But you are definitely well credentialed to be here.
Take it easy on me. I'm Alicia Roebuck. I call myself a career development enthusiast. I love helping people find meaningful work. I've been in the area of recruitment for about 7 years, but I've been in the career development space for close to 10. I've always been really passionate and curious about why people decide to do the work that they do. That's kind of stemmed from when I was a child. I've seen my parents switch jobs and go after their passions and their purpose. So that's really helped shape my perspective around people finding meaningful work and what that looks like and how they go about that. About 3 years ago, I became a coach through Coactive Training Institute. That was spawned by me becoming a people leader. I never wanted to be a manager by force by any means. I really want to help coach people to see the opportunities that are right in front of them in ways that make them feel excited. And so I'm so thrilled to be here today to learn more about how I may be helpful to those looking to chart a path outside of the typical legal paths that have been before them in the past. So I'm super excited, and thank you again for having me.
Of course. And I will also say that Alicia and I have been trying to plan this for a couple of weeks. It has been an issue with my technology. I know life has been lifing, but we are finally here. So I am very ecstatic and very glad to have her here.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things I said to you, Alicia, is, and this doesn't even necessarily just pertain to attorneys, what are some tips that you would have for career changers in general? Because it is really hard to go from a traditional legal role at like a firm or even like a public defender or recruiter. A public defender or prosecutor, excuse me, a litigator, into these roles where you may have, the know-how, especially the legal background and acumen, but you don't have the experience. So what would you say to people like that?
I think the biggest thing that I always tell anyone, like regardless of the industry or the background, is to focus on your skills, right? And understand what you do exceptionally well. I was just talking to a coaching client, and the biggest misconception that people have when they're changing careers is a lot of times they undersell themselves, right? So they'll say things like, oh, I've had these successes, but I attribute them to these, minuscule things. And it's like, no, what you've accomplished is by no means by happenstance, right? You have X skills and experiences that can translate to other areas and other industries, but you have to tell me what those are, right? And a lot of times we're looking for someone to help us sell skills that only we would probably know, or maybe our managers would know. So I always say, like, start with your skills, and how you can do that is go back to those performance reviews. Where have you been told that you've been particularly, strong? Reflect on those. Are they true? What's true for you now, right? As far as your strong suits, and then reflect on what's going to make you feel fulfilled and thrive, right? Why are you leaving the field? What was it that didn't make you feel fulfilled? And go for what you believe will. A lot of times I have done in my career is I've gone back and I've looked at all the jobs that I've had and what made me feel fulfilled in those jobs. What kinds of managers did I enjoy working for and working under that helped me feel fulfilled? What were they doing to make me feel fulfilled? And that can even go back to your time in, law school, when you were in, high school, whatever time, right? What makes you feel fulfilled? What type of environments are you in, right? That make you feel like you're doing the work that you're most passionate about. And once you kind of have a sense of your strengths and your skills and your experiences under your belt, you have a sense of what's going to make you feel fulfilled, and you have a sense of the mission. Now you can start to go out there and have some conversations and give some people some ways that they can help support you. So, for example, I told people when I was kind of coming out of a layoff, hey, I'm looking for mission-driven organizations, meaning I want to work for an insurance company, someone that is in the financial services field, or something related to benefits, right? I want to do something in talent acquisition and or in DE&I. And I gave people that as a guide, and they came up with all kinds of things that were super interesting, some not so much. And then I made some decisions about what I wanted to pursue further. But I had to give someone and some of my friends and my network somewhere to start. And that started with me doing that reflection, which is, it can be scary. It's daunting for so many people, but that's where it really begins. And that's where you get the fruitful outcomes that I believe that I've gotten from doing that work. So does that help?
Absolutely. And I just want to
Great.
say, just to wrap this all together, Alicia, you put on your page, and I can't remember when, but at some point you put on your page, this year I hope to be on more, I think, podcasts
I
or
asked
something
for
like
it.
that.
Yes.
Yes, you said it. And I
Yes.
was like, you know what? Ding, ding, ding. I literally am thinking of starting this channel to help
Right.
people transition into careers that I think are worthwhile for attorneys. She would be perfect for this channel, to help people like get tips and tricks. So I
Thank
really do want to point out that was a great point. You really do have to let your network know what you're looking for and be
you.
specific. You were very specific. You didn't say, I just want to talk to people about finding
Yeah.
work. You
Anything.
said, I want to be on podcasts this year. That is what you said. And
Yes.
I remember that. And I reached out to you maybe like a couple months later because I remember that. So
Yes.
definitely telling people your goals. I do think that that's a great tip. And
Yeah.
also, if you look at the video that I just did with Ron Zink, he talks about an employee that he had hired, had actually resigned. And he said, well, what made you resign? And the guy said, well, because I wanted to be promoted to this position. And Ron said, well, you never even asked me, about that position. And I never considered you for it because, well, you never asked me and you don't have those skills.
Yeah.
And so, I guess the big theme here is you really need to put it out. And that is scary. That is
Yes.
very scary.
It is scary. But what I'll say is that we forget that our managers or our recruiters or our HR department, they have lives too. They have their own careers. They may have children, spouses, all kinds of things, right? Why do you think it's their job to anticipate what you want to do next, right? A lot of that is it's a misconception for so many job seekers, so many employees. It's really your job to do that work, right? And maybe you'll come across, managers that will be supportive or will be particularly inquisitive, but that may not be the norm. And if it's not the norm, what are you going to do about that, right? This really all goes back to you, right? If I don't reflect, if I don't think about what's next for me, what I want to do that will help me to thrive, then either no one's going to think about it or someone's going to make an assumption at some things that maybe I don't love. And then I'm sad because I'm doing work that it's like, how did you not see me? How did you not know? It's like, I went off of what I saw and I made some assumptions. You never said anything, right? And so we really have to step into the driver's seat of our careers versus being passengers, right? And being passive.
Ding, ding, ding. I like that. Can we say that again?
Yeah, we get to the driver's seat. Like, drive the car. It's your car. It's your career, right? It's just it's so cheesy. Car.
No, but it is. You really need to be the driver. And I feel like there's a lot of passengers out here. And the
Yes.
problem is when you end up at a destination you didn't want to be at because you weren't driving the car, now you're upset. And
Exactly.
it's like, if you want to go to the destination that you want to get to, you have to put yourself in that position. So I totally agree.
Exactly.
Now, here's another one that I had, and I think I actually emailed this one to you, and I don't know if it's true or not because I've never worked in human resources. However, I did hear that some jobs don't like to hire attorneys or people with legal backgrounds. They're like scared when they see a law degree because they think that we are expensive. Now, it's really hard to sell to a recruiter, let's say, hey, I have the experience to be a contract administrator within your company.
Yeah.
Instead of being, a traditional litigator, I would love to come and be a contract administrator for you.
Yeah.
Is it scary to recruiters when they see that? And do they think, wow, this person's going to be expensive. Maybe we should just go and look for someone else?
So I can't speculate for every single recruiter. That wouldn't be fair. But what I will say is I did look up misconceptions around lawyers just because I personally try to focus on the skills and experience. But I will say that that was something that came up on the list. Now, I do think that there are ways for you to say exactly what you're looking for as far as a salary expectation in an application, right? So that's the place where you can kind of go against that misconception if you believe that's the case. But the biggest thing I think that we have to hone in on is going back to how you articulate your skills and your experience in your resume, right? Or in your conversations, right? A lot of times, again, people will rest on their laurels and say, like, of course they know I'm a lawyer and I'm able to have these specific skill sets, but do we understand all of the things that make you a successful lawyer? Absolutely not, right? Every lawyer is successful potentially for very specific reasons, right? And so you need to tell me what transferable skills you believe you have, what skills that have made you successful up until this point to help me better understand this. And it's not just for lawyers. I really want to caution individuals from pigeonholing themselves in that, oh, I'm a lawyer, they're going to misunderstand me. As a recruiter, and as a person that's interviewed, right? Like I'm consistently looking for new opportunities, right? It's up to you to set the tone for your interview, right?
Mm.
So I'm going to ask you questions like, what puts you in the market for a new role? And why do you think you have the skills and experience for this position? It's really up to you to have a clear sense of why. And sometimes people are blindly applying to, opportunities and thinking, oh, I definitely have the skills. I can do that, right? People think they can do my job. I can do a recruiting job. I can do that, right? It seems so simple. And it's like, no, why do you think you have the skills and experience to do this work? Make it easy for me, right?
Mhm.
Tell me why your experience in your practicing law is relevant to this contract admin role, right? What about this position aligns with your skills and experience? Why should I choose you over these other applicants, right? Who have the experience in contract admin? It's up to you to differentiate yourself, right? That's where you have LinkedIn and you have those personalized networks where you can say, hi, I am Alicia. I'm super interested in this role. My experience doing A, B, and C, as you've indicated in your job description, make me an ideal candidate for your position. I'd love more time to talk to you. Okay, well, wow, you made that kind of easy for me. Let me at least take a look, right? Let's have some conversations about why you believe your experience aligns with that role. So, to the point of salary, obviously, we have ways of looking at expectations. So be realistic with your expectations, do some research. That's the first step. But then beyond that, I would definitely encourage anyone to be very specific about why their skills and experience truly align them to doing that work well and how they've been successful in the future, and differentiate yourself from other applicants.
I think that that's a great, great, great tip. And I actually was told, and I don't know if you ever heard this, but the better you can tell a story about your history, your work history, and what makes you want the role, I guess, I don't know, easier it is for you to stand out. I don't know why
I want
storytelling is
you
like a
to I
thing.
don't want to be bored. Like we're people. Recruiters are people. It's so crazy to say it that way, but it's true. I'm a person. So I
Yeah.
maybe have spoken to 5 other people that day. What makes you stand out, right? What are you going to tell me that makes me remember, like, hey, Sabrina really tied her experience to our industry in a way that I haven't heard before, right? A lot of companies are needing to do new things and be innovative, right? I see so many heads of companies looking completely different than I've historically seen. I come from a background in media research, and there are so many individuals who had TV backgrounds, right? Who used to lead these huge multi-billion-dollar organizations. Now they're looking for people that are streaming leaders, right? Or
Mhm.
individuals from up and coming industries that historically have not had the traditional skills and experience, but they can say, listen, TV was struggling in this area. we actually do that really well over here in the streaming business. Might you be interested in us trying a new approach to your business model? Frankly, because you have to, right?
Mhm.
That's a way that you sell yourself. That gets me thinking, okay, well, if I want to do something innovative, I've maybe hired that same job, that same background 17 times. How can I get innovative about this work, right? And how does this new skill set actually help me to do my business in a way that my competitors aren't thinking about, right? So when you get those savvy leaders, that's the opportunities that you get to kind of speak to your experience and speak to what differentiates you from other candidates.
I want to say that someone did a study, and I don't even know if it was an intentional study, but there was, I don't know, a happenstance where a group of police officers,
Mm-hmm.
instead of the captain who came in, the new captain, hiring people with a criminal justice background,
Mm-hmm.
he began to hire people with, I believe it was social services
Okay.
background. And
Mm-hmm.
he noticed the difference in the outcomes and said,
Yes.
you know what? Hiring just a person with a different background,
Yes.
that alone, he
Yes.
noticed the increase in community engagement, the
Yes.
increase in the happiness of the people that were being, patrolled. So it was like something so minuscule can
Yes.
make all the difference. Just hiring someone with a different background can change the outcome of your entire department.
Absolutely. And you should be seeking those opportunities out and making it really clear for someone. At least make me think about it, right? Like maybe you don't get the opportunity, maybe it's not the right opportunity, but at least let me think about it. Make me think about why your new, different, innovative skill set could be beneficial to my business in a way that maybe I wasn't even thinking about, right? Again, people have lives and careers, they're thinking about the things that are most important to them. It's up to you to make them understand why your skill set's going to align. And then adversely, it's up to them to make you feel like you want to come and work at their organization and their, under their leadership, right? So it's a two-way street in selling your skills and experience and making it really clear for the recruiter and the hiring manager and the hiring team.
Okay. And then lastly, one of the things that I've been hearing constantly from guests is the importance of mentorships and networking.
Yes.
And also, I want to add in their continuing education, although they haven't necessarily said it, but
Mm-hmm.
two of the people that I've talked to continued their education. And now I'm talking to you, and you got your MBA. So now I'm wondering, I know this is a full question. So
It's
now I'm
okay.
asking about the importance of networking,
Mm,
mentorship, and education as ways to segue into a new career path.
listen, if you are not networking, like I have a whole new set of, tools I'm talking about, which is like, you're still not on LinkedIn, right? Like you're still not using ChatGPT. Like you're still not doing this, right? Like I had a funny post that I put up that was like me with like a flip phone. And it's like, and like the dial-up internet. Like if you're not on LinkedIn talking about you're in a job search, like you're still on dial-up, right?
Yeah.
We have to embrace our networks in this new job industry search, right? Like a lot of times things are changing at such a rapid pace. There's no way you can just know everything about even your industry, right? I always say, like, I do my work, which is the reflection. I can articulate my skills and experience, and I know what is going to help me feel fulfilled. Outside of that, I am asking for as much help as possible, right? So, articulating that to my network and saying, I need help, please help me, or here's what I'd like to do. That's step one. Then I go to the ones that are just 10 times smarter than me, right? Which are my mentors, the
Yep.
ones that have done it. It's not new to them. They continue to do it. And frankly, they are people that are innovative thinkers who want to and continue to challenge themselves, right? Like I want ways of continuing to challenge myself because again, I don't have all the answers. So there are so many people that I respect across various industries. I even say I have mentors who I've hired, right? So my career coach is someone that I completely admire because she articulates her skills and experience and translates her life into marketing and her business. And I am intrigued. She doesn't work a 9 to 5. She doesn't like the corporate space the way I do, but she has something that is a skill that I want to hone. So I also want to say, like, a mentor doesn't have to be older than you. A mentor doesn't have to be in your same line of business. A mentor is someone that can help you think in a way that will make your work more seamless or help you to strive for something bigger and better, right? And so I absolutely believe that through mentorship and networking, it's how I've gotten my jobs consistently, right? I have told people, hi, I don't like what I'm doing right now. They're like, well, what do you want to do? Here are the things I want to do. Well, hey, I know this person, talk to them, right? I have a friend who's notorious for being a connector for me and just helping me to know the right people to get my work done. It's frankly how successful people get their work done, right? You have to know where your lane is and where you need to call for reinforcements, and having that steady group of mentors and your network there to support you at a moment's notice, right? I think the only other thing I'll say on this is that with having that network and having that mentorship, you have to also give back, right? So I am actively trying to support my network. My friends are like, please don't introduce me to anyone else. It's been too much. And I'm like, well, I'll give you some time off, but sure, another quarter you'll be ready to re-engage, right?
Yeah.
I am also actively making those connections. It's my passion to help my friends meet other individuals that I believe are like-minded, right? So a part of this is doing right by individuals so that when your time comes to feel supported, you have a healthy network to pull from. So I definitely think it's a two-way street. There needs to be reciprocity, but absolutely there's no way to be successful without a network, without tapping into your network and giving them what they need to help you succeed, and absolutely having people that can help guide you and lead you on the right path that have done that work already.
I 100% agree with you. I want to, number one, shout out my mentor, Kamika Royal. She was my professor at Temple University. She is
Wow.
not in my field, but she has been a mentor of mine for years. I mean,
Yes.
over a decade at this point.
Yes.
And now I'm at a point where I'm taking on my own mentees, you
Yes.
know. So
Exactly.
reciprocity is important to me, and, you know, just full circle and pulling on my network. When it
Yes.
comes to networking, when people ask me about jobs, like recruiters hit me up and say, hey, do you want to, you know, are you interested in this job? If I'm not interested in the job or I don't have the skills for it, I always recommend people.
That's along. Yeah.
I always recommend. I never just say, no, it's not for me. Bye. You know,
Absolutely. Right.
it's not for me, but I know this girl, Kathy, you know,
Yes.
like, what's
Yes.
she supposed to do?
Yes. And
That's
it's
the best thing to
exciting.
do.
It's fun to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like to just even to have the conversation. I think sometimes people think that like the conversation has to lead to something. It's like, no, it could be an FYI, right? It can truly just be, I just want to talk to you. I'm curious, right? When you mention continuing education, education doesn't have to mean going back to school, right? Continuing education can be courses and, you know, sitting in on different, you know, conversations. There's so many webinars out there now, right? Just learning new perspectives, having conversations. I really believe that you know, curiosity is the biggest way that you continue to be successful over time. And you shouldn't lose that, right? So I do think that continuing education can be helpful depending on the area you're talking about. I push people, are you sure you have to go back to school, right?
Yes.
Do
Yes.
you are you sure? Can
Yes.
someone else pay for it, right? Because, you know, it's an investment. It's an investment of time, resources, you know, you're using your brain in a way that may be a little bit different than how you've been using it for the last however many years, right? So making sure you are absolutely certain there aren't other alternatives before you make that investment. And then are you ready to make that investment, right? It's not, you know, something that you should take, you know, haphazardly. You should really think through what you want to accomplish again, and then do the proper research to make sure it's the right next step for you.
I agree. In my current job, a lot of the attorneys who work at the bank that I'm at have LLMs in Texas, which is
Mm-hmm.
like a master's in law, and they have it specifically in tax law.
Sure.
And I was like, well, do I need to go back to law school to get this LLM in tax? And then I spoke to one of them, and they were like, no, don't do that. All you need to do is do some continuing education courses.
Yes.
You can even get designations,
Right.
in our field, like certifications and designations. So if you are interested in switching careers, see what continuing legal education courses are available, see what certifications are available.
Absolutely.
You can get those additional letters after your name to help you as
Yes.
well.
Exactly.
I want to go back to something that you said about career coaching, because I
Yes.
want to close out specifically talking to you about your career coaching service
Thank you.
and letting individuals know that you do this.
Yes.
Number one, because there aren't a lot of people who offer this service.
Mhm.
And number two, because I think it's a necessary service that a lot of people don't think about but
Yes.
need. So if you can go and tell me a little bit more about this career coaching.
Sure. So as I mentioned, I became a coach out of a need to lead a group. And also, I don't like to feel like I have to tell people what to do and like lead by force. I never want to be that person, especially not that type of manager. And so, coaching for me helped really illuminate the whole person. Like people will say, I want a career coach, and they don't realize how you are in your career likely is translating to other areas of your life, right? And so what I like to do is to really think through how you need to be supported so that you can thrive, right?
Mm.
So, for example, I have some coaches right now who will be starting new jobs in the next month or so, right? Some of them are,
Congratulations.
oh, I'm so proud of my, y'all gotta do your thing, y'all. My coaches, I'm so proud of them. And some of them are working from home for the first time, right? So that's a career specific thing, right? However, when you work from home, you are no longer doing that commute, right? You're more sedentary. You maybe won't see anyone depending on, how your life is set up, right? For 10 hours. How do you set yourself up for success in this next role, right? Because if you are being sedentary, if you're not getting the exercise that you were historically getting, right? All of that will translate potentially to your career and to other areas of your life, right? So
Mm.
absolutely, I will teach you about how to be successful in interviews and how do you continue to have those strong performance reviews. So it's raining here, sorry. How
Yeah,
you
it's
have
raining here too.
how you have those performance review discussions and really articulate your skills and experience, absolutely part of it. However, I also want you to know that, hey, when you don't get the exercises that you need, you're not going to be your best self in your performance review discussion. So maybe you should consider how to incorporate that piece into your day-to-day life so that you can be successful in your career. And I've learned that through having a coach who is a positive psychology coach, which I had no idea about, but it's been such a life-changing
I
experience.
need the number for that person. It sounds
Oh,
amazing.
yes. Tina Conley, I sing her praises. So, one of the exercises that's my favorite that I do with a lot of my clients is thinking about when I am my best at work, what does my home life look like, right? It's
Mm.
a bed that's made up. It's groceries in my refrigerator. It's me meal prepping. It's me, thinking about my laundry ahead of time, right? When I do those things well, I'm also showing up at work happy, energized. I have clothes that I like to wear, right?
Yeah.
And when my house isn't in the way I want it to look, what's happening at work? Well, yeah, I'm running out of the house. My bed's not made. I didn't do the laundry this week. I didn't get my groceries. So now I have to stop at Dunkin' Donuts and get more coffee. And now I'm like spilling it on my blouse versus. And then how does that show up with me at work? Well, I left my laptop at home today because I didn't pack my bag like I usually do because I was making the coffee that I should have made. And it's like, we don't even recognize that, whoa, these two things are connected,
Connected.
right?
Yeah.
When you think about, okay, if I walk by my bedroom and I'm getting ready to leave out of the house and the bed's not made, I know, okay, something's off.
Yeah.
Something's off, right? How do I come back to my best home life so that my best career life can now happen, right? So I often say that a lot of coaches will meet you at the performance review or the resume or the cover letter, and that's where they think that they're having the most impact, and those are absolutely impactful things. But I know for sure that reflecting on when have you felt your best at work and just journaling on that every morning for a week is a different experience, and it provides a different outcome than just thinking about the day before you start your interview process, right? So coaching for me is an all-in reflective piece of work that continuously happens because you're going to be a new person consistently. You're never at the end, right? Until you're at the end. You're always changing. So always reflecting, always going back to what fulfillment looks like for you in this moment, peppered in with here's how you make sure you're talking that talk so you get that salary negotiation under your belt so that you get the most coin that you can get. And also, by the way, we're tracking your performance every other week with your manager to make sure you're meeting your objectives, right? That's there too, but we're also going to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, right? It's the whole you perspective that helps you to deliver on this career and this thriving, fulfilling life of yours.
This sounds like a holistic career coaching
It's a whole
service, and I am here for it, Alicia.
Yes.
I think that is amazing. I didn't
Thank
even
you.
realize, like, you made me think, like, oh wow, all these things are connected. Like when I'm running late, now I'm spilling coffee, and like I'm looking disheveled, and I got a lot of stuff. Now my whole day is starting off wrong. You're right,
Right. And now you're your best self. And we
Yeah.
all want to be our best selves. And we all deserve to feel our best. And that takes time. Like there's always those memes that's like me in my 20s, like not sleeping, just getting up and going. Now it's like me in my 30s. It's like I need a little bit more time and I need to reflect. And it's like giving ourselves what we need and meeting our own needs before we go out into the world to fulfill other people's needs, right? I think that's so important for us to be, filling up our own cup or getting our own mask before we can give it to anyone else. I'm a huge proponent of that. And I've seen for myself and for my friends, when you don't fulfill those needs over a given period of time, that's when you have burnout or you have fatigue or you wake up and one day you hate your job and you come this far and you have bills and it's like, now how do I get out of this job? And that's when the journey begins. But that's a tough thing to feel when you have obligations, right? So I always say, it's best to do this work when you're feeling your best, right? That's the best time to do it, right? It's best to fill up your tank when you have half a tank versus when you're on E running red lights, right? Like
my mom is somewhere like, yes, because that's my mom. My mom always says, fill up your tank with and say half a tank. I know she's watching.
And a half a tank because it's dangerous to be at E, right?
Yep.
So I do think that a lot of the work that I do, it's often people think of resumes, and I definitely help support people in articulating their skills in written form. Like that's fine, but there's so much more to this work. Everyone needs a coach. Every person needs a career coach. We should not be doing this work by ourselves. We should not be going on these journeys alone. I'm a huge proponent of coaching. I get coached myself. I have all kinds of support systems that I've built in to maintain myself to then be able to help support others.
So where can they find you, Alicia, in case they want to contact you? Yeah. And I'm sure that they do about your coaching services.
Thank you so much. So I'm at Alicia Roebuck. So ALICIA Roebuck, ROEBUCK.com. I am THEE Alicia Roebuck on Instagram. And yeah, you can find all of my links on my website for coaching consultations, for LinkedIn support, for ChatGPT support. And then I'm always putting up content on Instagram and across social media. Yeah. So those are some of my handles.
Thank you so much, Alicia. This has been a very informative talk.
I appreciate
you have done amazing, just like I thought you would. So I'm glad to have had you on here finally. And sorry for all the constant
no worries.
Rescheduling of the show. But we finally got her done, and I think we did an amazing job. So we'll go ahead and close it out. Alicia, you have a great day, and thank you everyone for tuning into Life After Legal.
Thank you so much.
Take care.